Imagine waking up to a world where one of the most reliable foods on Earth no longer exists. No warning, no replacement, no soft yellow curve waiting on a kitchen table or hanging in crowded street markets, no cheap calories for workers, no easy food for children, the sick, or the elderly. At first, it might not sound catastrophic. Bananas are quiet food. They do not announce importance, but within weeks, hunger would sharpen. Entire regions would feel it first, then cities, then systems. Bananas are not luxury. They are infrastructure. When bananas disappear, hunger does not scream. It whispers, then spreads. Bananas were never meant to be special. They were meant to be dependable. This is not a story about flavor or fruit bowls. This is the story of how humans bent nature, crossed oceans, built empires, collapsed ecosystems, and created one of the most fragile global food chains ever known, all around something that looks harmless in a child's hand. Long before agriculture had rules, wild bananas were almost useless, hard pulp, massive black seeds, barely edible. Nature did not design bananas for humans. Humans redesigned bananas for survival. Thousands of years ago, in the rain-soaked jungles of Southeast Asia and Papua New Guinea, early communities noticed rare banana plants producing fruit with fewer seeds and more flesh. These were accidents, mutations, but humans noticed, and noticing is where domestication begins. Around 8 to 10,000 years ago, some of the earliest farmers on Earth began protecting and replanting these strange bananas, not because they were sweet, not because they were beautiful, but because they were efficient. Bananas grew fast. They required little labor. One plant could feed an entire family. In places where grain struggled and hunting failed, bananas endured. This changed everything. Bananas did not need ovens like bread. They did not need flooded fields like rice. They did not need grinding or storage. They were instant survival over generations. Humans did something radical. They broke reproduction itself. Through selective breeding and natural hybridization, bananas became seedless, completely dependent on humans to exist. Every banana plant today is a clone, not metaphorically, literally, cut from another plant, replanted, copied endlessly. Bananas stopped evolving on their own. Humans became their only future. As people moved, bananas moved with them, along coastlines, across islands, packed into canoes. Austronesian sailors carried bananas across the Pacific and Indian Oceans thousands of years before modern maps existed. Bananas reached India, Sri Lanka, Southeast Asia, and eventually Africa. This was not trade. This was migration food, portable, reliable, life-sustaining. In Africa, bananas transformed societies. They allowed permanent settlements in regions where grain could not survive. They reshaped diets, economies, and population growth. Cooking bananas and plantains became staples, not supplements. Bananas were not eaten for pleasure. They were eaten because people needed to live. Empires noticed. By the time classical civilizations encountered bananas, they were already ancient technology. Alexander the Great's soldiers saw bananas in India. Arab traders spread them across the Middle East and North Africa. The fruit moved quietly, never demanding attention, simply feeding whoever needed it. Then Europe entered the story. Contrary to popular myth, bananas were not carried west by Marco Polo. They arrived through Islamic trade networks centuries earlier. But Europe did not yet understand them. Cold climates resisted them. They remained curiosities. It was not until colonial expansion that bananas would reshape the world again. When Europeans reached the Americas, they brought bananas with them. The climate was perfect, too perfect. Bananas exploded across the Caribbean and Central America. Plantations replaced forests. Companies replaced communities. Bananas shifted from survival food to global commodity. This is where the story darkens. By the late 19th century, bananas became industrial food. Railroads, steamships, refrigeration. Corporations like United Fruit turned bananas into profit machines. Entire nations became dependent on a single crop. Governments bent. Borders shifted. The term banana republic was born not as a joke, but as a warning. One banana ruled them all. The Gros Michel. Sweet, durable, perfect for shipping, and genetically identical across continents. When Panama disease appeared, it did not spread. It erased. Entire plantations collapsed. Economies crumbled. The banana almost vanished. To survive, the industry replaced Gros Michel with the Cavendish. More resistant, less flavorful, still cloned, still fragile. A temporary solution disguised as permanence. And now, history is repeating itself. A new strain, of Panama disease threatens Cavendish bananas worldwide. There is no easy replacement, no backup. Banana waiting. Scientists race against time, searching wild forests for forgotten genes. The banana, humanity's most reliable food, stands on the edge of collapse. There is another side of the banana story that rarely gets told. Bananas did not just shape diets, they shaped labor, migration, and human bodies. Plantation work was brutal. Forests were cleared, workers carried heavy bunches, under burning sun, exposed to chemicals, paid little, replaced easily. The fruit was cheap. The labor was invisible. Entire generations bent their backs so distant cities could eat conveniently. The banana became a symbol of hidden cost behind everyday comfort. Bananas also rewired global taste. Sweetness became normal, energy became expected. Long before protein bars and supplements, athletes, soldiers, and factory workers relied on bananas as fuel. Doctors recommended them because they were gentle. Parents trusted them because they were safe. Bananas became the default food for fragile moments, from hospital beds to disaster shelters. In villages, nothing was wasted. Bananas were eaten ripe, cooked green, dried, fermented. Leaves became plates, roofs, and ritual objects, while corporations narrowed bananas into one export shape. Cultures preserved diversity quietly. That diversity may now be the banana's last defense, yet bananas persist. They remain breakfast for millions, emergency food in disasters, first solid food for babies, comfort for the poor, fuel for labor. Bananas appear wherever hunger exists quietly. And if you are enjoying this journey into the hidden history behind something so ordinary, pause for a moment, like the video, leave a comment about how bananas fit into your life. Subscribe for more stories that reveal the power hidden inside everyday food. This is not interruption, it is participation. Even now, bananas are deeply personal. Childhood lunches, hospital rooms, long workdays, they are eaten without thought, yet carry thousands of years of adaptation, migration, and human decision-making in every bite. Bananas were never glamorous. They were never symbols of wealth. They existed to solve a problem. How do you feed many people cheaply, quickly, and reliably? The answer was a fruit that no longer belongs to nature. So the next time you peel a banana, pause. You are not holding a snack. You are holding a biological artifact. A plant shaped by hunger, cloned by necessity, spread by migration, exploited by power, and protected by hope. If bananas disappeared tomorrow, humanity would survive, but something would be lost. Not just calories, not just convenience. We would lose proof that humans can reshape the world to endure, because bananas were never just food. They were strategy. They were survival. They were silence working in our favor. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the hidden history of bananas, like the video, share it with someone who eats bananas without thinking, and tell us in the comments what food feels like survival to you. Subscribe for more documentaries on the foods that quietly built our world, because behind every simple fruit, there is a story waiting to be told.